And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, JB, it's been a while since we've done this formally. Last week we were golfing in the rain. Today we were inside of our homes, and it's a nice sunny day. So if that doesn't show our luck, I don't know what does. But with that, JB, nice to have you back. Good to be back in traditional format this week. So with that, JB, we got a good lineup this week. We're going to talk about the NFC and AFC West breakdown. We're going to give fantasy football tips. I want to talk about the picks. And then me and JB are going to talk about the Packers and Steelers Week 1 preseason games. Things to watch for those games. So, JB?
Like we said, back and formal, but here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is JB.
And I'm Chandler, and this is the Unbiased Hard Take. And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, I do that super hard because it's been a while for the classic format. JB had totaled his vehicle, and last week we were golfing. So we're back to normal format this week. So, JB, I want to kind of pick up where we left off a little bit with the division races. I covered the other two other divisions, the East and the South, on my short takes. Go check those out if you haven't already. So me and JB are going to talk about the NFC and AFC West. JB, we'll start with the AFC West. In the AFC West, JB, what's your thoughts on the AFC West this year? Who do you think finishes first in this division, going 1 through 4?
I mean, there's the AFC West is probably one of the most easiest division in the NFL. I mean, both West teams, well, kind of, but no, yeah, the AFC West is probably the most easiest divisions in the NFL by far. Kansas City Chiefs will be number one as always. And then probably the Los Angeles Chargers are probably going to come close second, but they're going to have a losing record. I mean, the Chargers have no weapons on offense. They lost Austin Eckler. They lost both their injury-prone receivers. So they got nobody. All they have is Justin Herbert. Now I do believe their offensive line downgraded.
It upgraded.
So,
They drafted a bunch. They invested a lot in their line, but they ignored
still,
receiver.
I mean, it's not gonna get any better, honestly. So it's have tons of young talent offensive line, but there's going to be a lot of errors. I don't think there's no hardly. I'm not keeping track of the Chargers, so I'm just spitting what I have. But yeah, they're going to have a losing record. I do believe their defense also got a little worse as well. I mean, they got one player on defense. Actually, kind of two. But Derwin James he's also an injury prone too. So you got about 2-3 people tops on defense. So, and then I probably want to say the Denver Broncos are going to be third.
Okay.
I did see some practice clips of the Denver Broncos, and they're looking okay. They're looking but like I said, they're still going to have a losing record. No shocker. And the last is Las Vegas Raiders. They've basically just lost everything. They really don't got a quarterback. I mean, shout out to Aiden O'Connell for battling for a starter position, our Purdue guy. But I mean, honestly, he's not it. I mean, he did have glimpse of of it's out there, but the Raiders just is not looking good.
Aiden O'Connell is a really good backup in the NFL. He's not a starter.
No.
He's a backup.
And
And
then
there's worse.
also Devontae Adams wants out. He can't take it anymore. He doesn't have a quarterback. He doesn't have no help at all. It's just him. There's no other receivers that's out there or with him. It's just him, and he's getting sick and tired of it. So I don't know what his plan is. But unless they had a good run last year, but it's
The problem with Devonta is he doesn't have he's a great player. I would argue this. I'm still going to argue this. He's the best. He's the second best receiver in football. I mean that. I think Tyreek Hill is probably the best better player in football. But this is a side note. But I think Devontae Adams is easily the second best receiver in football. I've seen this man myself play. You have too. This dude is insane. What him and Aaron Rodgers had, if he
mm-hmm.
still played with the Packers, he would still be the best receiver in the league because we all know what Jordan Love is now, richest quarterback in the league on top of it. He doesn't have vision. He didn't what made him sit there and think like Green Bay has been stable for years. Hard for Rodgers Love. When have the Raiders ever had a quarterback, JB? Been over 20 years.
Derek Carr had one good year.
Okay, Derek Carr. Okay, that's the best they got. Okay, Devontae Adams doesn't have any vision. That's the problem. He went from one of the most stable organizations in football to a team that's been a clown wreck for 20 years.
Yep.
But anyway, I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are easily the best team in this division, unfortunately, because not only do they still have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, all the Swifties, people also let them get Xavier Worthy. The Bills let him get him on top of it. They went out and got literally the fastest man to ever run at the combine. What they struggled with last year, JB, speed. Who else did they sign? Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown might not be a good route runner, but that boy is fast.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to spread the field, and so long as Rashee Rice can stay off of the parole board hearing list, he's going to be a baller too. There's legal questions there. I worry a little bit about their defense a little bit. They did lose their corner Snead to the Titans, and he's one of the best corners in the league. So I think their defense did get a little worse, but their offense, JB, Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes had career worst years last year. They got obliterated by the Raiders on Christmas, and the Raiders didn't complete a single pass in the second half, and their Chiefs still lost. And they won the Super Bowl anyway.
Yep.
They figured it out. Great players do. This division is not close. It's Kansas City.
By far.
Shocker. Number 2, I actually agree with you. I'm going with the Chargers here. Jim Harbaugh has said, when they asked him after the draft, why didn't you guys draft a receiver? You guys don't have any. He goes, we consider offensive linemen weapons. So let's look at the teams Harbaugh's coached. Michigan. Would they do well? They play defense, they ran the ball. Good line. Tough team. Before that, he played for the Niners. He had Alex Smith, JB. He had Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, damn near Super Bowl wins. But they do well. They ran the ball. They played defense. Patrick Willis days. You remember that.
Mm-hmm.
A good team. That team almost beat the Ravens in that Super Bowl. So you look at Harbaugh's career. That's what they do. They build running games and they play defense. So I don't see why people are so shocked that they didn't upgrade weapons. They got really good running game right now with the additions they've made, and that they drafted offensive line early in the draft, and they're going to have, I think, a better defense. I don't think it'll be top 10. Harbaugh is not good enough to totally rebuild the Chargers in 1 year, but I do think the Chargers will be better. I think where they were at 5 wins last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was 5. I think it was 5. I expected them to be around 8. I think they'll get significantly better. Then looking at number 3, I actually swear I disagree with you. I'm going the Raiders. The Raiders, yes, I 100% agree with you. They don't have a quarterback. Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. Okay, people would argue Gardner Minshew did well for the Colts last year. He made the Pro Bowl, if that means anything anymore. So
No.
I mean, he had a decent year. They do still have Devontae Adams. Max Crosby's probably the third best defensive player in the league, in my opinion. I mean, they have talent. There's no doubt about that. Their defense is phenomenal. And of course, they rehired Antonio Pierce. And that was a great hire. He's a defensive guy. He's going to have these guys ready to play. They like this coach. It's not Josh McDaniels. They like this coach. He's a player's coach, defensive guy. He's played the game. He's a Super Bowl champion. We've seen what he could do with last year. He had a good success with the Raiders last year. So I think they're going to be, I'd say, around 7 wins. And then last, I have the Denver Broncos. Not to discount the talent they have. They got a little bit of talent. But I'm actually super high on Bo Nix. You know that. I think
Mhm.
he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. I expect the Broncos to be a playoff team in 2 years, but not right now. Again, they still have a rookie coach. They're coming off of that big Russell Wilson disaster. They don't really have any pieces. There's holes all over the roster. So I don't expect much from Denver this year. I just want to see Bo Nix get better as the season goes on. That's what I'm looking for.
I agree with you on that one as well. I mean, it's like I said, it's AFC West is the most easiest division by far.
Now, let's get the one a little tougher, JB, because I think we're going to have a lot of differences on this one. We'll see. It's a preview. The NFC West, JB. Dude, what do you think of that division, my friend? That's a sneaky underrated division. That's a tough
It
division.
is. It is. I'm looking at it right now, and it's just it's a little sneaky, but 49ers number one. I mean, it's no shocker there. They have Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. They don't know what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk. Hopefully, he's coming to the Steelers. um, and then
That's the
we
report.
and then and then they have Debo Samuel on offense, and defense is also stacked as well. Um, so I mean that team right there, if they keep all the key players, they're going to win a Super Bowl. They are. I do believe if they keep the same people and how Brock Purdy has been these past few years, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And that curse, my friend, is still going to be in play after they probably win the Super Bowl. That's when that curse is probably going to break. I'm sorry. Because I know they always that Packers and 49ers AFC or NFC divisional round every year. And just the Packers just like the Cowboys, they just choke. But
Against that certain team, for whatever reason, the Cowboys just choke in general.
yeah,
Just for something to get with Green Bay and the Niners, something just about them. We don't choke against anyone else, no one else but them, and I don't understand it. I'll get in that in a minute. I better before I get fired up.
but
Take a drink.
yeah,
Take a drink.
like I said, they're gonna win the Super Bowl if they keep the same team. And I know you don't want to say it, but you know it's true though. You know it's true. I know you don't want to say it. Yeah, I know. But I mean, the second team, I think it's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. I think that even though Aaron Donald did retire, Um, but I do believe they got some key players in the draft this year on defense, especially, and I think that's a really good pickup after Aaron Donald retired. So that's a good pickup. And then the third, now it's a toss up between Arizona and Seattle. To me, I think both of those teams are equal. Um, I don't think Geno Smith is not going to be that great this year, in my opinion. Yes, he had a great uh, career last year. I think he won. I think he won a comeback player of the year. I do believe. No, no, that was Joe Flacco.
Geno Smith made the Pro Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what it was. But Geno Smith, I don't think he's not going to be doing. I don't think he's not going to do well this year. Because honestly, really, they really don't have an offense. They have DK Metcalf. That's pretty much it. Um, Defense, it's not that great either. But I'm probably going to say Arizona. Arizona is going to be number 3 on my list. They've gotten a lot of key players in the draft this year, and I do believe they probably signed a few others that I didn't see or wasn't like a big headline, but they probably did sign a few people.
Michael Wilson, James Conner, Trey McBride. Like I said, probably not in big headlines, but effective players.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And then they got a really good receiver in the draft. Um, but yeah, I think Arizona Cardinals is going to be number 3, and Seattle Seahawks is going to be number 4.
Because I knew we're going total opposite directions this time. And I will explain. I don't think the 49ers win this division this season. I'm going to say it. And people want to say, oh, it's because he hates them because they beat the Packers every year. That's honestly not it. Here's why. I think the Rams win this division this year. Look at the Rams. Oh, look. They don't choke in Super Bowls like the 49ers do every fucking time. My one curse word I'm allowed. The Niners have lost double-digit leads in the Super Bowl twice now. And we make fun of the Falcons? I understand the Falcons was a bigger lead, but twice? You blew a double-digit lead in the Super Bowl 2 times. 2. I am sick of the 49ers. Not because they beat Green Bay. I can accept that. But the fact that you let the Chiefs win the Super Bowl twice and now we have to deal with the Swifties again because you can't keep 10-digit leads. You couldn't do it. That's a coaching problem. Look at Kyle Shanahan for that. You don't get a lot of opportunities to play in the Super Bowl. And let's look, JB. The Rams are Super Bowl champions, Sean McVay. Matt Stafford is a Super Bowl champion. Had a great season last year. They won a playoff game, almost made it to the NFC Championship game again. Yes, they lost Aaron Donald, but you were right. They drafted Jared Verse. They re-signed Kevin Dotson. They still had Kyrie Williams, who was top 5 in the league in rushing last year. Puka Nacua, who broke rookie records, and Cooper Kupp, who's the only one to ever receive the Triple Crown and was Super Bowl MVP. Then we look at their coach, Sean McVay, one of the best offensive minds in football, and they drafted Michigan running back Blake Corum, who's a national champion. Who, remember, I had as the best running back in this draft class. The Rams could very well win this Super Bowl. Hey, JB, that is a team. And then let's look at the Niners. Brandon Ayuk has demanded the trade. They lost Eric Armstead on the defensive line, Chase Young on the defensive line. They've lost some people. JB, Christian McCaffrey, yes, he's the best running back in football, but let's not pretend he doesn't have an injury history. Yeah, they got Debo, George Kittle. I get it, but I do think the Niners still make the playoffs. I think they're around 10 wins. I just think that the Rams are just better from top to bottom. I think the Niners make the playoffs as a wild card, and the Rams win the division. The Rams will win 12 games. The Niners will win 10. Then I actually have the Cardinals third. So the Cardinals, like you said, they don't have a lot of headline players. They got James Conner. They have Kyler Murray. They got Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and a second-year head coach who exceeded expectations last year. The Cardinals were a sneaky team at the end of the year. They were beating some people that they shouldn't have, like the Steelers, who made the playoffs. The Cardinals were winning some games with Kyler. He is that dude. And then they added the best wide receiver prospect the league has seen in years, and Marvin Harrison Jr. But they got some people. And then I think Seattle's last. Pete Carroll's not the coach anymore. Yeah, they brought in McDonald or McDonald, however you say it, from the Ravens to be their coach. Geno Smith, yeah, 2 years ago, I have it here. 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, 100 QBR, 4,282 passing yards. Last season, he regressed. 92 QBR, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,624 yards. Again, not horrible.
Mm-mm.
He's not going to be able to compete with those other three guys. He can't do it. There's a reason they added Sam Howell. It's because they don't believe in Geno Smith.
Pretty much. I mean that's
Is that
why.
a hot?
I mean that's why I just it's the Seahawks is not going to be good this year.
No. And I mean, the last couple years they have been. 2 years ago they made the playoffs. They lost first round, and then last year they missed the playoffs, but they were still 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been respectable. But they lost Pete Carroll. I don't like the idea of a defensive rookie head coach with Geno Smith coming off a year to where he was slightly above mid. Ah, this division's too good for that. The Seahawks are last.
Yep.
You think that's a hard take though? Is that a hard take? The Rams win the division. What do you think of that? Is that a hard one?
I think it's a little bit of a hard take, but it's close. I think it's pretty close.
People are sleeping on the Rams, JB.
They always have been. Ever since Matt Stafford got it there or went to the Rams, they were saying that they're not going to be good. And that same year, look what happened.
Literally won the freaking Super Bowl, right? Then they had a off year when Matt Stafford was hurt last year. They made the playoffs. People didn't think they would.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. They've kind of been a slept-on team, and that surprises me. Since I mean they have won a Super Bowl super recently, they made the playoffs consistently with Sean McVay, and they're out west in LA. So it's kind of surprises me people sleep on them as much as they do.
Yep. I agree.
With that, JB, we're gonna stay in the world of football because we're gonna be talking a lot of football from now on because it's back, JB.
It's finally
It is
back.
back. Speaking of being back, so is fantasy football. And with that, me and JB have an announcement. Do you want to announce it, JB, when our draft will be?
You go ahead. Because honestly, I forgot what day it was.
August 22nd, a Thursday, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, Eastern Standard Time, if you're out west, I don't know what time it is out west. I ain't even gonna lie to you guys right now. So, Eastern Standard Time, August 22nd, 8 p.m. We will be live streaming the draft for the Unbiased Hard Take Fantasy Football League draft. So, there is that. So, with that, JB, we're gonna move on to topic 2, fantasy football. JB, give me some of your most. Between me and you, we both have over 20 years of fantasy football experience.
Yep.
So, what are your biggest key fantasy tips for especially new beginners and just players in general?
Um. So for me, what I like to do, if you have time, do some mock drafts. Try to figure out how the system works. Because for some people it's a little bit, a lot of headache for some new upcoming people. So just get on a mock draft simulator and just pick any, or just figure out just all the numbers and everything. Um, and then take notes. Take a lot of notes. Especially if you're doing it for money, you definitely have to take notes, and you have to, because there's I forgot what people or companies that plays for money, like DraftKings, for example.
Yep.
People like that. If you're doing it for money, take notes. Um, but yeah, just come up with the game plan, and then just be prepared to abandon that game plan from time to time, because sometimes people will take your players, and then you have to, and you have to have a backup plan, but have multiple backup plans as well. Um, Also, pay attention to the nearby drafters' picks. Um, just think ahead. Think ahead, and just keep an eye out on all this stuff. And then I normally don't do it. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I do. Do not draft a quarterback first round. Don't do it. There are so many good quarterbacks out there. For example, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, those Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a fantasy monster. He you can get him in the third round. Easy. So don't pick a quarterback in the first round, because that will just screw everything up for you. Because once you get if you pick a quarterback first round, guess what? You won't have a good backup, because all those players, all those good quarterbacks are already taken. That's my hard take. Um,
I agree with that. I think that's a good thing. I mean, because you look how many good quarterbacks. Let's go down the line, JB. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff. You can get Jared Goff late, super late. Brock Purdy, super late. I maybe get him around 9-10. Dak Prescott around 9-10. Jordan Love. I mean, the list just Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray. The list goes on and on, JB. There's 15 good quarterbacks in fantasy. There's not 15 good tight ends. You make a good
nope.
point.
And talking about tight ends, that's my next topic. Draft a top 7 tight end. Because, I mean, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, George Kittle. Those are probably the 3 main tight ends in the game. Honestly, if you don't have them, I mean, if they're not available, Sam Laporta. Don't draft Kyle Pitts. Don't draft him at all. Don't do
Don't
it.
don't let the dude at the bar talk to it. Don't let the fantasy expert on the television, because you have NFL Plus. No, me and JB have both made that mistake. Trust us.
Don't. He'd probably have one good game, and the rest is 0.5, 0.7.
Absolutely.
2.3 points.
Yep.
Trey McBride's also a good one. Dalton Kincaid, or yeah, it's
Okay,
also
yes, there you go. JB back to his name streak. But hey, he corrected himself. So
And also, know know your league settings. That is also a key
yes,
because there are things um because there's some things, some leagues don't have a defensive player, some leagues do, some leagues has 3 defensive players. I don't know,
much.
but pick a kicker and a defense, your very last pick, last 2 3 picks. You can get a good kicker in any round, in late rounds, especially with the defense. Like right now, I think Steelers is probably one of the best defense. Packers is a pretty good defense. Um,
I hope so. Please, Jeff Hafley. I can't handle anymore.
I mean, think who else is have a good defense?
According to the projections on NFL.com, 49ers, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bills, and Lions, Ravens, Dolphins, Jets, Eagles, top defenses.
So see, there we go. So you can get there are 32 teams in the NFL. You can get a top rated defense late in the draft and a kicker. Pick a kicker. Honestly, pick a team that can't get in the end zone, but they can get in field goal range. That's where your most points is going to be.
Browns.
The Browns. Sometimes I mean, depending on how Deshaun Watson is going to play, I don't know, but don't pick a good team because if they're just going to get touchdowns, it's just going to be 1 point.
Bingo.
The Raiders, for example, maybe.
We're going by last year. Hopefully it changes. Pittsburgh. Sorry
Yeah.
to say it.
I mean, Chris Boswell, I mean, he was one of the best kickers in the league.
He won you some games last year. Kickers are people too, as Rich Eisen always says. Kickers are people too.
The Packers kicker.
No. We don't even know who our kicker is, brah. I'll get into that later. We don't even know who our kicker is yet.
But like I said, you can have a good kicker late round. It's no. And then my final thing, just have fun. Just have fun. It's unless you're playing for money, then you have to be a little stingy with things, but all in all, just have fun. Be with your buddies. Drinking buddies, bar buddies, work buddies. Long-time
Old high school buddies.
Old high school buddies. Or long-time best friend buddies.
Pretty much brothers, but
Yeah, pretty much. But just have fun.
I don't know if I can top that last take. That was really enthusiastic, JB, but I agree 100% with you the quarterback thing. I won't really go into anything further as far as that. Here's how I know I've evolved as a fantasy player. Back in 15 years ago, I was told you draft 2 running backs to your first picks. Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson anymore, Adrian Peterson. Those days are gone. It's more of a passing league now. So with that, I have kind of altered that opinion. You remember when I used to say that all the time. Draft a running back your first 2 picks. I won a lot because it was more of a running game back then. It's evolved. The rules have changed. It's become safer and more I don't know. I'm old school, so I always say draft a running back, draft a top 10 running back in the NFL. Because you look past your top 10 running backs, JB. It's a lot of the NFL's running back by committee. You have two running backs starting every week. So you do need to either get Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, B. John Robinson, Brees Hall, Saquon Barkley, Gibbs for the Lions, Kyron Williams. That's another one right there. Derrick Henry. You need to get a top running back in the league, at least one.
I would say pick a running back that does both.
Yes,
Pretty
I
pretty
had Brees
much
Hall
you
last year.
pretty much get a running back that does both rushing and
Mhm.
passing yardage. Don't get a running back that
Yes.
just runs and they can't catch the ball. I mean, for this is going to be a hard take, ladies and gentlemen. Derrick Henry is a great example. He does not catch the ball.
No.
He just runs. Look what he did last year. Honestly, he was not a great running back last year. He barely broke 1,000 yards.
But even in a passing league, he did. Even with a little bit of age, that's
I'm
he's
just
still
saying
he's
though,
still a top.
he's still the top, but last year was his worst years. There were
One of them. I was
games,
okay.
there were games he only got 10 rushing yards.
It's fair. There were
Multiple
games he had 200.
20 and 30 games. That last year, it was his worst year. Like honestly, Jalen Warren was played better than him. Najee Harris played better than him last year.
Najee's underrated. I don't think he played
Najee
better,
is
but
definitely
Najee's in 1,000
underrated,
yards.
but he's thousand yards from rookie to now. 1,000 yards. Not Najee is. I wish the Steelers paid him the money that he deserves, and we denied him his extension this year. So hopefully after this year, hopefully it does. Hopefully his gameplay does not affect his money because I really do want to see him succeed, and I really hope the Steelers sign him for a bigger deal because he is the real deal. He loves Pittsburgh. He even said it. He loves Pittsburgh. He wants to retire of Pittsburgh. But we need to keep him. Steelers, if you're listening to this, I don't know if you will, but please, for the love of God, he's probably one of the best running backs that we had in a while. Ever since Le'Veon Bell. I mean, honestly, I mean we never really had a good running back since him, and now we've got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, the two probably the best dynamic duo running backs in the league. So please sign him. Anyways, but yeah, back to what I was saying. Pick a running back that does both.
I would agree with that. I think there's a shortage on running backs in the league. My second add to that is because it's a passing game, one of your top picks should also be a wide receiver. I believe firmly in this. Here's your top three picks, depending on where the board lies. If the board goes perfectly the way you want it to, in theory, here's how I would go: running back, wide receiver. No. Running back, tight end, wide receiver. In theory, you could get the best running back is Christian McCaffrey or one of your top running back choice in round one. You could get probably George Kittle. You probably won't get Travis Kelsey. You can get a top tight end in your second pick, and then just plenty of good receivers out there. So I think firmly those three positions need to be your first three draft choices. Because tight ends, like you said, there's not a lot after the top guys. And then
Mm-hmm.
receiver, so let's say all your running backs get taken right before you pick. Tyreek Hill's on the board. Duh. Or you get Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, Puka Nacua. I mean, even you can get Devontae Adams, Mike Evans late as well. So there's plenty of even round 3. So those need to be your top 3 positions. Again, I think quarterback, like we said, we can wait on quarterback. But like you said, know your league settings. Here's an example. Most leagues give you 1 point for 25 passing yards. I think that's horse crap. I try to make our fantasy league the most realistic to football it actually is. How many yards is a first down, JB?
1,
10. How many yards is a first down?
10.
10. So, for every 10 yards, you get 1 point in our league, not 25 yards. We do 1 point for every 10 yards. Passing touchdowns, a lot of leagues do 4 points. We do 6. A touchdown's worth 6 points in real life. That's how I play. We also do punt and return yards. That stuff matters. It doesn't matter how you score. Devin Hester made the Hall of Fame. I hate the Bears. I hate the Bears. And that was a good selection. That is good for football because he's the first true kick punt returner to ever make the Hall. You were a kick punt returner. That's what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. That's part of the game. And to see a Hall of Famer go in there as a kick punt returner, I think we should have kick punt return yards in our fantasy league. Some people don't. So look at your settings. Know what your manager has done because a lot of your league managers won't tell you. We always keep the same rules. Everyone in our league knows. So we're pretty consistent with ours. Like he said, defensive players. We have a defensive player in ours. A lot of people don't. Now, when it comes to defensive players, if you do have a defensive player, don't draft a corner. If you have a defensive player in your league, draft a linebacker. Here's why. Who always leads the league in tackles? Linebackers. You want to get
Defensive
someone who's going to get
tackles.
a
Get
defensive tackle outside. Yes,
get somebody that's always close to the ball all the time.
yes. Because remember, stats are the only thing that matter. I understand Sauce Gardner is one of the best corners in the league. I understand that. I'm not drafting him in my fantasy league, though. He doesn't get you a lot of fantasy points. Great corner, great baller, great defender. Not a good fantasy player. He's a corner. So that's the kicker right there. And then here's another one. Don't be biased. Dak Prescott is not a good playoff quarterback. Dak Prescott is not a top 5 quarterback in real life. Dak Prescott could very well be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Remember, stats are the only thing that matters. Like back in the old days, Tony Romo always choked, but he was a great fantasy quarterback because stats are Kirk
Mm-hmm.
Cousins. It don't matter if you win or lose. Remember that. Only
Or
go
choke.
by the numbers. Stats are the only thing that matters. But don't be biased. Yes, I love the Packers. I'm not drafting their kicker. I
Or
hope their
what
defense is
kicker?
better. Exactly. We have like 4 on the roster still. We'll get into that in a little bit. So that's another thing. Don't be biased. Oh, I'm a Packers fan. I want to draft all Packers players. You can't do that. And then here's my last fantasy tip. Watch your bye weeks. When I say, let's say you draft 2 quarterbacks. Oh crap, they both have a week 7 bye week. Who's playing quarterback for you? Make sure your backups to positions don't all have the same bye week, or you're not going to have enough players to get through bye weeks. And bye weeks happen throughout the entire season, damn near. So remember your bye weeks. Pay attention to that type of stuff. There is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of detail in. Don't make that mistake. That's a very easy mistake to make. It really is because you might have a player on your board that you really want, but the bye week doesn't match up. So kind of keep that stuff in mind. Um, and oh, here's another thing. Don't go by projections. I don't like projections. Go by last year's stats. What have these players actually done the last 2, 3 years? Not off of projecting that. Listen to this, JB. Projecting that Garrett Wilson's going to be better than Puka Nacua. Yes, NFL fantasy, NFL fantasy. I'm looking at it right here. JB has Garrett Wilson projected to be 271.70 total points compared to Puka Nacua is 261.80. Oh, and Devontae Adams is only 232.20. Mike Evans 229.30. Mike Evans has had a 1,000-yard season every year since he's played. Go off of that stuff, not off of these projections. Because listen to how ridiculous that stuff sounds. That's ridiculous. That's not real. That's not going to happen.
No,
PP. So don't go off projections. Go off of last year's stats. Go off injury history, that type of thing. Because remember, stats are the only thing that matters.
exactly.
With that, JB, that was a good fantasy tip. I like how we did it this year. I actually think we did better than last year, where we actually remember we went by position last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did. I think we found a good system for fantasy football. With fantasy football, don't forget to pay attention. We're going to be following our fantasy league throughout the entire season, starting on draft night, following it with you guys on Bias Hard Take Fantasy League. We're expanding on the Unbiased. We're golfing. We're doing fantasy leagues. So we're excited for that August 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be live. With that, JB, the Olympics, my friend. We haven't talked much Olympics on the podcast or short takes. So with that, JB, right now I have the stats right in front of me. Currently, the USA has 94 total medals, China 65 total medals, France 51 total medals. JB, what's your thoughts on the Olympics this year, my friend, as a whole? Knowing those statistics.
I mean, it's a good. It's I mean, this year is a good Olympics run. Yes, the United States is dominating in total medals by 30 medals. Um, I mean, I don't have really much to say, really, but it's. I mean, it's almost done. Got 4 more days till it ends. Um, so it's. I mean, it's good. It's good. So, I mean, like I said, I don't have really much to say. I mean, congratulations to the United States coming up on top. Like usual, I don't think how last year was. Um, but yeah, it's. I mean, I didn't. Never really watched. Um, excuse me. Watched the Olympics this year. But I've been keeping up some highlights, and but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for me. I know
You know,
I know you've watched a lot of Olympics this year, so
yes, I'll save you here, JB. I'll save you here, and because I have, and I actually watched some skateboarding last night toward this 11-year-old Canadian girl. I think, if I remember right, she was 11. It was quite impressive. Skateboarding is an Olympic sport now, um, but like I said, USA is dominating total medals, and it's not just total medals we're dominating in JB. We actually have the most gold medals. We have the most silver medals. We have the most bronze medals. So unless a disastrous collapse happens, which is probably not going to happen, USA is going to win this Olympics. In my opinion, we're the best nation in the world. Um, and we dominate the Olympics every year. I'm a very proud American. There should be eagle noises in the background right now because this truly is an honor to be able to not even just participate in the Olympics, but to be able to win the Olympics and be the best nation in the world when it comes to sports. And that's why in the NFL we call ourselves world champions. In the NBA we call ourselves world champions. You know why, JB? Because we win the Olympics every time, dang near. Been a
mm-hmm.
couple of occasions where we haven't, no, so, but those are anomalies. We're the most dominant, and it continues to happen. So I'm very proud American. That's number one, USA. And the basketball teams are looking very good. The women won today in the quarterfinals matchup, 88 to 74. They're moving on for a possibility at gold. The men play Serbia tomorrow as well, and they haven't lost a game yet either. Neither have the women. So the basketball teams look about how we expect them to. Um, Simone Biles is an absolute baller. I will say she's one of the best athletes of this generation. 11 total gold medals, set one of the second most all time for a gymnast, and she has 4 medals, if I recall correctly, this year. It's Olympics as well. So she's one of the best gymnasts to have ever lived. Um, very proud of the Americans and the USA. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but won the 100-meter dash, JB, for the first time in 20 years.
Yep.
Do you see that highlight? That I watched that live, and that one was insane. I mean it. They actually list them at the same time. It was by a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
The
It
USA
was
won the 100.
that was crazy. I've
Yeah,
I seen that highlight and I'm like, wow.
yes. So for us to win the 100 meter for the first time in 20 years, that's impressive. Again, USA's dominating, JB. Dang near a 30 medal lead.
Yep.
USA, baby. China's up there, 65, France 51. So we give some respect to those countries as well. It's hard to win in the Olympics. So really, that's about how I expected it to go. Clearly, the United States normally always win. China's and France are always normally fighting for second and third. So it's truly about how I expected it to go.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how I expected to. But everyone knows that I love golf. I always loved golf, but I really wanted to pick it back up, and it's it's a really good hobby of mine, and I really want to get better at the sport as I go. Um, and then my boy, the number one golfer in the world right now in men's, Scotty Scheffler, won the gold by one stroke. He had negative night. He was 19 under par in 4 rounds. My friend, negative 19.
And
That's
zero arrests.
yep. And yet he still won gold.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, women's are still competing. They just finished round one. Um, Lila Vu is tied for third right now, and Nelly Crota is even par, and so is Rose Zhang is also even par in first round. They are tied for 13th. Um, and yeah, but their second round is going to start tomorrow at 3 a.m. My friend, 3 a.m. It's crazy.
Oh, that's insane.
But I will
I'm
give
glad you're paying attention. I'm glad you're paying attention to that golf because yeah, no.
I like I said, I really like golf. I used to play it in middle school and I tried to play it my freshman year, but it was just I tried actually yeah, I tried to play my freshman year in high school and I couldn't do it because it was interfering with my football. And I thought I was better at football than I was at golf, and that was a mistake, my friend. In my opinion. Was it fun? Yes. But I just my coaches really didn't see the stuff in me as what my golf coach wanted me to. But anyways, that's in the past, my friend. But that's all I got for the Olympics.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's went about how we expected it to. Simone Biles is a baller. The basketball teams have went about how we thought. So I'm interested to kind of. I will talk more USA basketball if they end ultimately next week probably when that kind of wraps up in a couple of days. So again, that's about how I expected it to as well. With that, JB, we're going to wrap up our last topic today. JB, we're going to talk about Steelers and Packers football that's happening this week, JB. We have Steelers and Packers football happening this week. I don't care that it's just preseason. JB, you're going to do the Steelers, obviously, with their game, and I'll do the Packers. What is one thing you want to watch for this Steelers preseason game, this week one?
For me, I want to see how good our backups are going to be playing. And I actually really want to see how good, um, excuse me, um, how good Russell Wilson is going to play, and how good Justin Fields is going to play. And right now, Justin Fields is looking a lot better when he was on the Bears. He's making some pretty. He's looking had a lot better throws, my friend, when he was a Bear. And you all thought it was a joke, that he's a joke. And I will agree. I did it myself. But he is a Steeler. And I will,
Oh,
whoever the starting quarterback is, I will ride it until it falls apart.
but what if it doesn't start to begin with?
Well, then that's why we have Russell Wilson.
They did say Wilson's still QB1.
Yep. Still QB1, but it's also it's a fight with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. But I want to see them two battle it out like always. But
I tried not to laugh. You see me trying so hard to be serious over here.
but for me, I've watched a lot of practice tapes when Russell Wilson was injured. And now and from what I've seen, looking a lot better. 100% better than when he was on the Bears. Him and George Pickens is clicking. He's clicking with the whole offensive scheme. With Arthur Smith, when everything is coming together during the practice. I just really want to see it fully bloom during this. Well, not fully bloom, but like the little bud on the flower that's kind of forming out. I just want to see that in the preseason, and then starting the regular season just pops open. So I'm excited for it. But I'm sad to say that Roman Wilson will not be playing at all during the preseason through his ankle sprain. Mike Tomlin wants him 100% healthy, because he's going to be a full part of the offensive scheme for us. So he wants him to be rested and be 100% healthy during his recovery. But for me, I do believe Steelers are probably going to win this game. The Houston Texans did not look well, but they really didn't start any other starters during the Hall of Fame game. But I do believe the Steelers are going to win this one.
And really, truly, in the preseason, winning isn't so much what matters. You're looking for other headlines, like you said, for the Steelers, you want to see which quarterback plays better.
Yep.
Not necessarily about who wins or loses. You want to see development, who's playing well, who's not, who your backups are going to be, who's going to get cut, practice squad players, who's that type of thing. So you're looking for that type of thing. And for the Packers, the kicking competition, JB, who's going to be the goddamn kicker? Who's going to be kicking balls? You know why? Because probably nobody. You ever heard the saying that if you have too many, you probably don't have any at all?
Yep.
At this point, JB, I have the stats right flipping here. I'm not worried about punter. Daniel Whelan was fantastic last year. He's an XFL punter, by the way, former. I'm going to start with Flipping Anders Carlson, JB, who's missed kicks consecutively considering this training camp also, so I can't wait to see what he has in store for us in the preseason. Last year, JB, I have the stats right here. Anders Carlson was 81.8% field goal percentage. While you might say that's not necessarily horrible, extra points. He missed 5. Why? He was the king of extra point misses. People were trolling him on Twitter. I seen it. He's horrible. 81.8%. Playoffs, JB. He flailed out there in the flipping playoffs against the Niners. We'd won that game. But nope. Here comes fucking Flanderson out here again to freaking blow it again. That's what he did. That's what he did all season long. He was horrible at the beginning of the season. He was horrible at the middle of the season. He was trash at the end. He was worse in the playoffs. So how did we respond to that? Did we cut him? Nope. We cannot win. Did we keep him on the roster? We brought in Greg Joseph. Yeah, okay. Greg Joseph had a good 2018 year, 85%. 2021 with the Minnesota Vikings, 86.8%. 2022, 78.8%. The 7 field goals. Last year, okay, he probably did much better, right? He had 2 years of 85 or better. Nope, 80%. So we brought him in instead. And not only did we do that, do not worry, we brought in the man himself, Alex Hale. You ever heard of Alex Hale?
Nope, because he's a rookie.
Nope, because no, he's not. He got cut. Here's why you've never heard of him, JB, because he made 43 of 54 field goals while at Oklahoma State. He's a native of Australia. That's what Packer site has for me. Missed 11 field goals in college. I can only wait to see what he does in the NFL. Who's going to be the kicker? Maybe one of them will break out. I want to see the kicking competition on Sunday when we play the Browns. Who starts out? Who's the number one kicker according to Green Bay right now?
Oh.
Who starts the flipping game? Who's going to be the kicker? I hope it's Greg Joseph because at least he's had 2 good seasons. And last season was mid. 80%'s mid. I would take mid over Flanders Carlson. I pray the kicker is Greg Joseph. Mid is an upgrade at this point. Please be Greg Joseph.
Oh man.
Or even Alex Hale. Even Alex Hale. I'll give the rookie a chance. Who cares? He's never played before. Cool. Better than what Flanderson can do, I'm sure. So, I hate Anders Carlson. If people cannot tell, he is trash. He should not be in the NFL. He shouldn't be in the XFL, for all I'm concerned. But beyond that, I also want to see the backup quarterback competition in Green Bay. It's Sean Clifford or our late round draft pick, Michael Pratt. I want to see Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt kind of duke it out for the backup gig. I'm interested to see that. And Matt LaFleur did announce the starters are playing. So that's going to be, I like that as well because you end up being rusty the first game. Truly, I think so. If you don't play your starters at all in the preseason, obviously, and Matt LaFleur did quote say to be smart. He's going to be smart. So I expect them a drive or two, maybe pass the ball, get a couple runs in, get a feel of the game flow. That's good for your players.
Mhm.
Otherwise, week 1 sloppy. I firmly believe that. So I'm interested to see. Hopefully, the starters can get out injury free. I like Matt LaFleur's approach on that. A lot of people don't. I've seen a little bit of both from the Packers internet. Some fans of us like it. Some of us do not. I'm on the side of I do like it. Ultimately, you want your guys to get a couple reps in. Injuries are part of football. You can't play and coach the game scared. That's not how football works. You can't go in thinking, what if, whoa, I'm scared. You can't do that. Go play the game, get your starters some reps. It's going to be okay. That's my take on it. What's your thought on that, JB? Do you think the Packers should play their starters? What do you think of Matt LaFleur's approach?
I think they should
It's a
play.
hot take.
I agree. I think the starters should at least play 1 down or 2 downs in the first quarter. That's it.
A drive. I think
Just
a whole drive.
yeah, the whole drive. Just let it just get that rust off and just keep it moving and just go from there. But
I
yeah,
absolutely agree with that.
I do agree.
And here's why. I don't think the starters back in the day, you remember back when there was 4 preseason games, yes, we're that old. You remember that the third preseason game was kind of your game they played. But now in the NFL, you have all these rules where they can only practice in pads so many times. You have the rule. You have a lot of more joint practices. You've probably read the headline. Daniel Jones had a brawl against the Lions. The Lions and Giants had a joint practice. So you have a lot of teams doing that type of thing now.
Oh, by the
So
way,
that's pretty.
the Lions and the Giants organization has been fined $200,000 for the brawl.
I don't like that. That's practice. Let the teams handle themselves. And in games, I understand. The NFL, it's on television for the world to see. I get that. But practices, that's crap. I don't like that. I don't like that. Let the teams handle their own things. But that's just I'm old school on that. But I think it's important to get your starters reps in the preseason. I just do.
Yep, it gets the rust off, gets that gameplay going, that game feel coming back because it has like all summer and all this
Yes. And
from
spring and summer, yeah.
February to August.
Yeah, February if you played in the Super Bowl. Think about the teams that didn't.
Yep,
Your
they got
season
longer.
ended in either January if you were like Pittsburgh and Green Bay playoff teams. But if you weren't a playoff team, your season ended in December.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay and Pittsburgh at least made it to January. So I mean, it's a long off season sometimes, JB.
Yep.
You got to get that rust off.
So yeah, just get that game flow going, and then just
You cannot simulate getting hit. Yes, you can go out there and run routes all day, run cone drills all day, hit the sled all day, flip tires all day, work out all day. You can. You cannot simulate getting hit
mm-hmm.
by another grown man in the NFL who weighs 300 pounds and he's running full speed at you. You can't simulate it. You need to get hit.
Right, and I agree.
With that, JB, that's all we have for today's Unbiased Hard Take. JB, we talked about a lot today, JB. I'm happy truly to be back, truly in the classic format. I like it. What do you got for the people, my friend?
Well, it's glad to be back. It's been a rough few weeks for me, but it is what it is. I just got to battle through it and get back into the groove type of thing. But yeah, not really much to say. Right now, it's looking good for the Steelers. And they're everything else. That's what's going on right now, and it's looking actually pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
JB, a very few words to end today. And, I'm glad to be back in the traditional format today, too. Last week we were on the golf course. That was truly the most fun. And we're going to be, it looks like, probably on the golf course from what I was talking downstairs about, possibly Monday and Tuesday. We'll see about that. More golf content. Me and JB also will be going to the Purdue Northwestern football game, and we'll be giving you guys an experience, a little bit of that. Obviously, we're not going to give you the whole thing. We will enjoy the game. We'll give you a little bit of content on that as well. We've seen it as also how good that Fever video did. JB, I don't think we have really acknowledged that on the podcast like we should have. That's impressive. I am proud of us. I truly am proud of us. 8K views on the video. I think that deserves to be. You brought this podcast far, JB.
Yep.
That's you and me, 50-50. We've done very well. We're starting ever since that video. Have you noticed our subscribers go up a little bit each time?
Mm-hmm. I do. I see it every day.
We're starting to get there. We got this now. We're starting to get out and do golfing. So I'm excited as what is to come, JB. Football season's coming. We're going to be doing live football games. We're doing a fantasy football unbiased draft. I have the unbiased hard take. Yes, Here's words of wisdom from Chandler. Life can be difficult sometimes for everybody, but everyone has something to kind of be their escape. Sports. For all sports lovers, that's probably why you're watching podcasts or sports in general. You want an escape. You need that escape. And to see where this has went from day one, JB, the unbiased hard take has a very bright future. That's what I am going to end on today. We are doing good things on this podcast. Some ideas have worked better than others, but we want to continue churning that wheel. Obviously, the casual talk didn't work out how we thought it would, but we're going to continue trying new things, getting out, trying stuff. So I'm excited, JB.
I'm excited.
It's almost time for DoorDash Part 2's coming.
Ooh, good.
Yay. The revenge of JB. With that, JB, I'll end on this. Boiler up. Let's go Heat. But most importantly, JB, this time of year, football's coming. Go Pack, go. Let's bring home the Lombardi. It's been over 10 years. Bring it home where it originated. It is time. Come on. Jordan Love is the highest paid quarterback. The time is now.
And I'm going to end it on this. Let's go Purdue. Let's go Heat. And let's go Steelers. Most Super Bowl wins post Lombardi era. But that's all I got. Here we go. Here we go. Steelers. Here we go. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. See y'all next week.
See y'all next week.